Ayan.
Why I don't join? I think that is so. Here. Diba?
Ayan.
Hindi ka nag-hear them. Nagpakamit sa rason.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Jericho. Can you start, please?
Hello, sir.
Hello, Mr. Jericho. Can you start your presentation?
Nakamit ata sila. Nag-start yung daw siya. Pero babati ah.
Okay, babati. Hello, sir. Hello.
Hello, we are hearing you. Please start your presentation.
Whose turn is this? This is me? Is this me?
Now,
Hello?
Mr. Jericho. Mr.
Oh,
Jericho, can you please start your presentation?
Okay, so our respect to the organizer, Professor DİLEK. Sir, good afternoon. Here in the Philippines, good afternoon. And the fellow organizer of this event, good afternoon. We would like to present to you our research entitled Challenges Encountered by Senior High School Student Researchers in Salcedo District. So the purpose of the present study is to find out and examine the challenges faced by senior high school students of research in Salcedo Vocational High School, Salcedo Eastern Samar throughout the school semester 2018 and 2019. The research method was processed through the use of survey form method of research endeavor. The samples included was about 120 student researchers. The data gathered from the respondents were tallied. The measurements of the degree on what were the most of all the problems that research students encountered are through the use of qualitative scale.
So here is the frequency table of the challenge. I don't know what to... Wait. So here is the frequency table and the challenges encountered by the senior high school student researchers. So the researchers organized the table from the most challenging to the least challenging challenges encountered by the senior high school student researchers. So we have here identified 20 items or 20 challenges, which is a challenge to be in a senior high school student researchers. So we will just get the top 3 most challenging to 6 frequency and has the percentage of 69. So the third one is stress management, which has 72 frequency and has the percentage of 65. So now let's move on to the list challenging or list difficult for the student researchers. So we have a first is the patience of the teacher advisor. So we have for the frequency is 18 and the percentage is 16% out of the total population. Second is identification of researchable issue and construction of research title, which has the frequency of 25 and has the percentage of 23%. So the third one, or the third less challenging, is the patience of the researcher. So we have for the frequency 26 and a percentage of 23. So results showed that there are 20 items considered by the senior high school student researchers as challenges, wherein 75% of the student researchers found much challenge which relates to the financial constraints in the compliance and or the completion of the research. Next slide, sir. This research subject entails teamwork members composed usually of 5 or more depending on the class size, which requires division of labor and resources. However, availability and financial capability of the student researchers found to be very difficult.
This study pertained to challenges encountered by student researchers. Findings show that the most challenging item for them is the financial problem or the financial constraint, with a 75% of the 120 total respondents. The amount of money that they are intend to contribute will be used in internet surfing and printing documents which they need to submit in time with a high level of validity and reliability. Aside from human resource, time and money are the essential resources that they need to acclaim. In the light of this study, the researcher conclude that financial resource would be a great factor towards the completion of the quality of the research output. This suggests cooperation from the group. Two or more packets are well off than one. Contribution, contribution of talents, I should say, and resources are the key to successful research.
So we have here the following recommendations are advanced. First is that student researchers need to contribute well with whatever resources they have, realizing more than the opportunity cost in the accomplishment of research. Teamwork is the name of the game. The problem and money will tumble when there is camaraderie and unity. Second is that time management must be instilled in their minds for the students to be more aware that this is all about establishing routines, setting goals, and understanding priorities.
That the subject research not be taken for granted by the students, as this help for local or national development along with science and technology, and that the school head may initiate programs that signify the impact of research. Thank you, my dear panelist, my dear organizer. That would be all for our research. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jericho. Now we will take our questions after the presentation. Not the end of session, but after the presentation. Now, is there anybody who wants to ask a question to Mr. Jericho? Hello, is there anybody who wants to ask a question to Mr. Jericho? Now, I saw that there is nobody wants to ask a question. Mr. Arvin, are you here? Yes, I see you. Mr. Arvin?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Mr. Arvin, now time is yours. Now, 10 minutes is duration time for each presentation.
Yes, sir.
Hello to Philippines, Manila.
Yes. So please allow me to share my screen. But before that, I would like to thank to all of you, especially to Sir Jericho, a close friend of mine, and to Sir Khan for accepting me as one of the presenters. So what I'm going to do now, sir, is to present to you my research. So the title of my research is The Extent of Implementation of Positive Discipline Program in Selected Schools in District 2B Division of Quezon City. So here is my abstract. So this study aimed to assess the extent of implementation of positive discipline program in selected schools in District 2B Division of Quezon City. The respondents of the study were composed of 50 teachers and 50 students in grade 7. The selection of respondents was done through the random sampling and the researcher-made survey questionnaire was used. The reliability and accuracy of the survey questionnaire was certified by the teachers who serve as validators. Afterwards, questionnaires were administered to the both groups of respondents. So right after that, we all know that discipline is actually one of the major issue, not only in our own house or our own home, but as a school in general. So in a diverse world of humanity, it is imperative to learn the multitudes of life commitments and accountability at an early age so as to grow responsible and sensible to the environment. As people interact in daily life in this world highly governed by authority and control, they are restricted to execute an untoward behavior. Hence, positive discipline should be adhered to in order to have a great control of possible imminence of negative attitude which can lead to a disruptive society. The importance of a good family and school culture and settings to the upbringing of a child contributes greatly to the development of a child, which starts from home. Positive discipline should be taught in school to create a better relationship and communication with the community and the society at large. So the background of the study is a major stressor of teachers and parents is how to handle discipline both at home and in the classroom. So when we say positive discipline, this is a kind of approach that provides a model that takes everyday challenges or misbehavior rather and turns these trying moments into opportunities to teach children the important life skills. Discipline is considered a life skills that they will need to be successful in the long term. This approach makes discipline encouraging and helpful instead of discouraging and stressful. Teachers from around the world shared how positive discipline tools have saved them time and stress. So the statement of the problem. The study aimed to determine the extent of implementation of the positive discipline in selected schools in District 2B, Division of Quezon City. Specifically, it sought to answer the following sub-problems. Number one, what is the extent of implementation of the positive discipline program as perceived by the teachers and the student respondents in terms of the following aspects? Number one, 1.1, limit setting, 1.2, responsibility training, 1.3, omission training, and 1.4, backup system. Number two, is there a significant difference in the perception of the two groups of respondents on the extent of implementation of the positive discipline program in their respective schools? Because I have 5 schools that answered my questionnaires in my research. Number three, what are the challenges encountered by the respondents in the implementation of the positive discipline program? And number four, what advocacy-inspired classroom management may be proposed based on the findings of the study? So in the scope of limitation, the study mainly determined the extent of implementation of the positive discipline program in the schools used as subjects of the study. The subject participants include 50 teachers in grade 7 from different schools and 50 students in grade 7 of different schools also of District 2B Quezon City for the school year 2017-2018. The total sample size of the study constituted 50 selected teachers. The researchers assumed that the total sample size was sufficient enough to generalizing result of the study as a representation of the entire population. The research locally is specifically conducted in selected school in Quezon City. So I included some of the review of related literature and studies to support my study. And one of the example is the article from the UNESCO, also by Janelle Cox, 2019, and also according to the article of Penn State. And I have also here the related studies by Cunio et al. In 2016, Somaya et al. In 2013, and Zingba et al. 2016. Then my study is actually anchored on the positive discipline model postulated by Frederick H. Jones. He defines classroom discipline as the business of enforcing classroom standards and building patterns of cooperation to maximize learning and minimize disruptions. According to Jones, to build positive classroom discipline, teachers should model appropriate behavior and use appropriate classroom management methods. Teachers must convey dignity and cooperation. If students feel that they are respected as individuals, they act with similar behaviors. Likewise, when teachers act maturely and competently, students will see them as role models after whom they pattern their own behavior. Not only do good teachers tell students how to act, but they demonstrate appropriate behavior in all their daily routines and interaction. So here is my conceptual framework. This conceptual framework is actually based on my experience and also anchored to the Frederick H. Jones positive discipline in the classroom. So I have here the positive discipline, and this is the factor that considered in implementing the positive discipline. In the implementation of the positive discipline, there is always a what we call challenges and how to improve or develop the said positive discipline program, because we all know that positive discipline has no definite standard, and definite strategies. What we need is the teachers who wants to implement the positive discipline because they feel that they belong to that kind of individual. Then afterwards, if the positive discipline implemented well, we will be able to create students with holistic individual. Now, what do you mean by holistic individual? They have the social, physical, mind, spiritual, and emotional aspect. Okay, so then afterwards, methodology. So the specific research study utilizes descriptive research design. According to the article of explorable.com 2019, descriptive research design is a scientific method which involves observing and describing the behavior of a subject without influencing it in any way. It is a valid method for researching a specific subject as a precursor to more quantitative studies. So the population in the sample of the study, again, 50 teachers from different schools and 50 students, which is grade 7 from different schools like Holy Spirit, Commonwealth High School, Bagong Silangan, Judge Feliciano Belmonte Senior High School, and Batasan Hills National High School. The selection of respondents was done through a random sampling. According to Kenton 2018, a simple random sample is a subset of statistical population in which member of the subset has an equal probability of being chosen. So the research instrument, in the course of collecting and gathering the data for the study, I use researcher-made survey questionnaire. So I'll be the one to create the survey questionnaires. And then how to validate the research instrument to test the reliability and accuracy of the survey questionnaire in deriving the desired result. Actually, I had a pilot testing in different school, or particularly in our school, in order for us to see if the survey questionnaire is valid or not. So after that, I saw that the teacher survey questionnaire was valid through the teacher's validator. Then the gathering data. So after the validation, the instrument, I asked the permission letter, intent, submitted to the principal for a formal request. Then afterwards, approval of the intending action, the researcher personally administered the questionnaire from the different school. Subsequently, the survey questionnaires were collected personally to ensure the systematic collection of completion and finalization. It was subjected to the data analysis and interpretation. So what are the statistical treatment of data I use weighted mean and t-test to know the significant difference exists between the assessment of the two groups of respondents, which is the teachers respondents and student respondents. So data analysis and result. So this chapter consists of the presentation and analysis and interpretation of data in accordance with the sequence of the specific problem posed in chapter 1. Both group of respondents perceived that the positive discipline was highly implemented in their school in terms of limit setting only, but moderately implemented in terms of responsibility training, omission training, and backup system. There was no significant difference in the perception of the two groups of respondents on the extent of the implementation of the positive discipline program in their school. Then the two group of respondents agreed that there were challenges encountered in the implementation of the positive discipline program in their respective schools, most particularly lack of support system program from school intervention on positive discipline program and lack of emphasis on implementation guidelines from the program. Why lack implementation guidelines? Because as I have said, there is no definite standard or definite strategies in implementing the positive discipline. Based on the findings of the study, the following conclusions were drawn. The positive discipline program was well implemented in the schools used as a subject of the study in terms of limit setting, but not so well implemented in terms of responsibility training, omission training, and backup system. The two groups of respondents had similar perception on the extent of implementation of the positive discipline. There were problems encountered in the implementation of the positive discipline. That is why, based on the findings and conclusion, the following recommendations were hereby proposed. The students should always listen to parents and teachers about their discipline. Values management that will improve their attitudes and behavior as they grow to become responsible, respectful, and resourceful member of the community. Parents should effectively communicate well with their children and teach them the proper attitude and behaviors that they act upon during their early formative years. As the main component of child's development and as an old adage, good manners always begins at home. And that as parents, they have bigger responsibility for their child or even children on how they will become good members of the communities and the society at large. And that is actually what will happen nowadays. No, the parents, they will be the one to assist, guide, and teach their own children because of the pandemic. Teachers should impose and implement classroom management programs on positive discipline anchored on the different aspects of limit setting, responsibility training, omission training, and backup system that will encourage student compliance and adherence, creating long-term positive effect. The school should implement and carry out the policies and programs of positive discipline in their school in general through the initiatives of school leaders and its management that would largely facilitate a positive learning environment for all. The future researchers should conduct studies on a positive discipline program of teachers in relation to academic performance of students that will bridge the gaps and loopholes of stating the problem of the study. So the conclusion is, based on the findings of the study, the following conclusions were drawn. The positive discipline program was well implemented in the school as a subject of the study in terms of the two group of respondents has similar perception and the extent of implementation of the positive discipline in terms of limit setting, responsibility training, omission training, and backup system. There were problems encountered in the implementation of the positive discipline, again, in terms of responsibility training, omission training, and backup system. Based on the findings and conclusion, the following recommendation were hereby proposed. Okay na po ito. Okay. Bibliography, I also included some of the bibliography, like what you have seen in my review of related literature. I also included Janelle Cox, Munyo et al., Simba, Somaye, Penn State, UNESCO. And that's all for today, sir. Thank you very much for listening.
We thank you, Mr. Alvin Fuertes. Thank you very much for your beautiful presentation. I want to ask what do you think about the economic education to grade 7 students? Because my research area is economics. So do we give economic lectures to students? What do you think about it?
What I think in terms of economics, sir,
Yes.
so based from my own experience, sir, as a teacher, because I've been teaching for 11 years here in Quezon City. In terms of economics, most of our students are belong to low class family, and that is the reason why they need actually a lot of guidance, a lot of assistance for us as teachers, as secondary parents to them.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much. Is there anybody who wants to ask question to Mr. Fuertes? I think there is nobody wants to ask a question. So thank you very much. And also I want to say that we are sending participation certificates to your emails now. We sent Mr. Jericho and Catherine Siguan. And after your presentation, you can check it. And if it does not, if it didn't come, send a message from our WhatsApp number. Thank you very much, Mr. Alvin Fuertes. Now, Mr. Jhon Libres. I see him, Mr. Jhon Libres. I see Mr. Jhon Libres. I think he is here. Mr. Jhon Libres, yes. Now it's time for Mr. Jhon Libres. Thank you very much. Mr. Jhon Libres, are you ready to present your research?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Please limit your time to 10 minutes and please start.
Okay. Once again, good afternoon to each and everyone. Good afternoon to our dear organizer and fellow researcher. So here is my presentation. Where is it? That would be implementation of pedagogical approaches among social studies teacher. And here is a glimpse, my abstract. This research study aimed to determine the extent implementation of the pedagogical approaches among social studies teachers in sampled secondary school in the districts of Baras, Rodriguez, and San Mateo, all in the division of Rizal during the academic year 2017 and 2018 for faculty as a basis for development of faculty enhancement program. The study was based on the regional memorandum of number 233 series of 2016, implementation of pedagogical approaches mandated by the RA 10533. The 5 major approaches are reflective, inquiry-based, integrative, constructivist, and collaborative. A mixed method was employed. The qualitative and quantitative methods of research, data were gathered or collected from a total of 101 respondents from the districts of Baras. They are 9 teachers who answered the questionnaire. District of Rodriguez, 64 teachers, and from the district of San Mateo, 28 teachers in the division of Rizal. The study found out that time limitations and curriculum teachers' preparation, lack of instructional materials, and the degree of supervision hindered the implementation of such pedagogical approaches. The study recommends a longitudinal study for more in-depth insight into the different approaches and development further stages align of the curriculum, pedagogy, and existing cultural practices. Teachers must also be given opportunity for professional development and attend seminars, workshop, and training regarding the variety of teaching strategies, pedagogical approaches, and finally allocate funds through outsourcing from other stakeholders and private sector. As we all know, teachers are the greatest assets of education system. They stand in the interface of transmission of knowledge, skills, and values, training of teachers, and overall needs and aspiration of the people. The quality of education depends on the teaching and teaching strategy and approaches embedded on the teachers, the way teachers are trained, quality of education. Pedagogy is a dynamic relationship between teaching, learning, and culture. Teachers' action in the classroom are underpinned by the ideas and values that they have about in education. Pedagogy interacts teaching and teachers and curriculum itself. Pedagogical approaches give the students of today the experiences and skills that they need to learn, work, and live in the 21st centuries, such as critical thinking, problem solving, communication and collaboration, effective emotional development, acquisition of technical skills, and a general ability to contribute to society. So this is the statement of the problem for this research. So it's specifically one, how may the pedagogical approaches be described? To what extent are the pedagogical approaches what the problems met by the social studies teachers in utilizing the pedagogical approaches in terms of teachers' preparation, teaching and learning approaches, availability of instructional materials, and extent of supervision. 4, what are the recommendations of the social studies social studies teachers, improvements, and upgrading teachers' competence? And 5, how may the findings be utilized in designing or developing a faculty enhancement program for the social studies teacher? So this is the research paradigm. This study utilizes or based on the IPO model that consists standard, finds the regional memorandum 233 series of 2016, the 2C2I 1R, or the 5 pedagogical approaches, as I mentioned, the constructivist, collaborative, inquiry-based, and reflective approach. This pedagogical approaches contains 5 core strategies recommended for the use of the instructional leaders and in teachers in finding ways to help the learners get excited about their learning in doing holistic and engaging activity inside and outside the classroom. The second box, the findings shows the challenges met by the respondents or the teachers in implementing the pedagogical T2I 1R such challenges encountered are the teacher preparation challenges faced by the teachers in terms of the following. And lastly, the last box or the product, the respondents gave the recommendation that serves as basis in crafting the implementation of SIR. And then for some brings of Baras, Rodriguez, and San Mateo, all in the division of Rizal, the questionnaire has undergone reliability statistics using Cronbach's Alpha test. The result was good. The result was of the test was 0.19, interpreted as acceptable to excellent level. Here the summary. Wait. The five pedagogical approaches are consist of and one R. These approaches contain four strategies recommended for the use of the instructional leaders. Here is the graph. The first one for the manner of delivery. Actually, this graph represents shows that collaborative approach is the most used pedagogical approaches by the social studies teachers, along with the frequency of use. Also, the collaborative approach is rank 1 with weighted mean of 2.63 and statistical SD of 0.4. Also, for the appropriateness, the result shows understand or comprehend the lesson provided by the teacher. So the reflecting approach rank 1 with 2.78 weighted mean and 0.42 statistic SD. Teacher's competence. For the teacher's competence, integrative approach are rank 1 with 2 SD of 0.50. Collaborative approach is still number 1 with or rank 1 with 2.57 and 0.49 SD. For activities, since here in the Philippines, we are using the K-12, so we are developing our students holistically. So we tend to use activities that provide collaboration or collaborative. That is why collaborative approach with 3.47 at rank 0.60 SD. And in terms of the outcomes, 0.48 SD. For problems encounters, as to teacher preparation, they are not seminar or workshop. They have not attended summer or Saturday classes. They are tasked to teach social studies due to teachers in the third problem is encountered. And as to teaching learning strategies, the students sometimes fail to interpret data and concept from generalization due to and poor of comprehension. It obtained the frequency of 92 out of 401 or 91.09%. Also, inability to finish the subject matter due to insufficient time allowed and class interruption. So here in the Philippines, we are given for to 50 minutes each day to prepare teaching units due to availability of the instructional materials. According to the result or findings of the study, they having an inadequate of supply of materials, lack of modern technology and devices, lack of live and periodicals to be used as a reference for instruction. As a degree for supervision, consult attend in-service trainings and seminars. And based on some of them recommends use of modern technologies. And let me go to the conclusion. Conclusion number 2, learning is dependent on pedagogical approaches that the teachers use in the classroom. Effective pedagogy often depends on the subject matter to be taught and understand the diverse needs of different learners and adapting on the ground condition. And most of teacher preparation, lack of instructional materials, and degree of the alignment of the curriculum to pedagogy and assessment, and the alignment of pedagogical assessment approaches sensitively with existing cultural practices. And there should be a consultative conference and upgrading of teaching manual materials and design and device for 21st century learners. Also, teachers must be given opportunity for professional development. For the recommendation, I recommendation for this research. So teacher education and mentoring must be viewed as an ongoing process continuing throughout the teacher's career. It will help to understand and apply different pedagogy. And also the alignment of the pedagogy to the curriculum so that is very important. And enforcement, and last one, the teachers should design a more on collaborative work that requires students output and for them to accomplish. So that would be all. Thank you very much for listening. Stop. Share.
Okay, Mr. Jhon, I think Mr. Jhon, I think Mr. Jhon, I think you finished your presentation. Am I right? Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Jhon. Do you hear me now? I think connection is not stable in Mr. Jhon's region. But he completed his research presentation. Is there anybody who wants to ask any question about Mr. Jhon's presentation? Of course, pedagogy is an important factor for teaching processes. Thank you very much, Mr. Jhon. I think now Mr. Asad Ullah. I see him, Mr. Asad Ullah here. I think here he is here. Mr. Asad Ullah. Mr. Asad Ullah. He was here, but I think he goes. So I am asking Mr. Lloyd and Mediatrix Macasil. Mr. Mediatrix Macasil. I see you. Hello. Hello.
Can I share my screen?
Hello, Mrs. Are you ready for your presentation, please?
Yes po.
Okay. Thank you very much. Please limit your presentation in time 10 minutes. Thank you very much.
Opo. Good afternoon, everyone. This study shows how important the teaching methods towards the poor reading skills of the learners, since it has been defined that reading is a process of decoding printed symbol and recognizing words, which is essential in our day-to-day lives. Especially that majority of what we do involves reading, such as reading the street signs, advertisements on different social media platforms, the school rules and policy, the latest news of the world. It also suggests strategies to improve the learner, especially that Philippines ranked lowest among 79 countries in a reading literacy assessment at the 2018 Program for International Assessment, or PISA. Reading is a cornerstone of education and the foundation of lifelong learning because it is the root and basics of individual learnings, and without reading it is difficult for learners to understand and comprehend. It will also be hard for learners to sell certain ideas, and through reading we can learn something new which is helpful to us in the future. According to the authors Stern and Gold, 2015, reading is the primary avenue to knowledge because reading is the communication between information and ideas, which is the baseline of gaining insights. That is why the more you read, the more knowledge you get. And the teacher's creativity is essential to facilitate effective learning because teacher creativity keeps students involved in the lesson, and creativity encourages the learners to improve their performance both in and out of the classroom activities. The study, the statement of the problem aims to provide insights into the influences of teachers' methodology on the learner's everyday lifestyle. Precisely, it answers the following question: how teachers' methodology affects the reading skills of grade 7 students. This answers the impact of the methods on the learners, or it answers the contribution of the methods towards the students' learning processes of the students. Next, what are the methods that the English teacher uses during the classroom discussion? It seeks to answer the various methodology which is present in the class discussion. It identifies the methods that the English teacher uses during the discussion and its effectiveness regarding the learner's reading skills. Next is what level of reading does the grade 7 student during the reading comprehension? How can you measure the reading skills of grade 7 students, and what measurement did you use to come up with the ratings from poor to excellence? These questions seek to answer the learner's comprehension level and tell how the teacher measures the identified level. Our design uses case study which focuses on the characteristic of grade 7 students in acquiring the teaching regarding English reading and teacher effectiveness in the implementation of methods and strategy in teaching. Our research instruments are observation of the grade 7 students and interview of the English teacher in Salcedo Vocational High School. In this part, it tells the findings of the study. The teacher's methodology affects the student's academic performance because the teacher's strategy encourages the student to push through with their study by engaging both in and out of the classroom activity. So the more creative the teacher is, the more active the students are. The most applied methods are discussing short stories or poems in class with creativity and reading comprehension skills, which test learners' comprehension and test their reading speed. The teachers also applied grammar skills, which test the learner's composition of sentences and combination of words. Ratings Rating the student from poor to excellence depends on the activity's results based on the learner's mentality. The teacher measures the learners by giving them activities and assignments that test if they have learned based on the teacher's approach and the lesson. Based on the findings, the use of mother tongue causes the students lack of understanding of word meanings from English to English since the teachers interpret the words into a mother tongue. So it's hard for the learners to supply the meanings in English language, and students are not practiced to speak the English language. From the findings, 3 out of 5 grade 7 students possess poor reading skills. It means that majority of the learners are poor readers. It happens because they were not familiar with the English terms. English teachers um, English teachers of grade 7 experience challenges in teaching their students and acquiring good reading and comprehension skills, which is due to the hectic or fully loaded schedule and the type of students they are teaching. Teachers cannot focus on their goals since they were busy, and we have different kinds of students. Some are easy to teach with, and some are not, making it hard for the teacher to communicate with them. The study findings leads to the conclusion that the majority of the learners were not able to hone their skills when it comes to reading and comprehension due to the use of mother tongue in class and lack of familiarity with the English terms, which are affected by the English teacher's methodology that depends on the teacher's approach and the learner's exposure to reading materials and sources. However, students themselves are not habitual reading. The, however, the students are not habitually reading the materials provided by their teachers, even newspaper, novels, and other books. They lack interest in English and developing their skills, which lead them to poor mastery of vocabulary, a high number of mispronounced words, and weak understanding of meaning from context. Yet, due to the teacher's shortage of time and workload, the students are not given utmost attention to improve their comprehension and hone their skills. The results reveal that learners have a different level of knowledge. There is a fast reader and has average comprehension skill. Some are slow readers but can comprehend and understand. Simultaneously, there are slow reader and weak in comprehending text. There is a fast reader but no comprehension. They sound at words, but they do not know what the words are. What they do not know what the words mean, which we want to improve. This is why the following recommendations are offered. Teaching strategy has a great effect on the students' full absorption of the lesson. Thus, a good delivery of the teaching strategy must be done. It is also recommended to build a connection with the learners because the more connected to the more connected the teacher to its students, the more chance the students will listen and observe what is being discussed, so that the teaching strategies delivery will run smoothly. They will develop good interaction. It can also be recommended that English teachers can use a combination of teaching strategies according to the student's ability and strategies that interest the students. The teacher should teach based on the learner's mentality, like the strategies of taking the students to a glance on the basics of reading comprehension, and also to use the basic English word in a discussion. Lastly, it is to take the discussion in a slow but understandable manner so that students can catch up with the lesson. Teachers Teachers also should motivate the students to read or to create in order to create interest in learning and encourage them to understand the text instead of just reading instead of just reading with the use of a dictionary to find words difficult to understand and motivating them to speak in English class. Teaching word meanings in English to English by the teacher is recommended by letting their learners create their words of the day. In order to help them develop their vocabulary, teacher must illustrate how to infer meaning from the context and teach the learners the formal terms of the millennial words they were using. Also, it is also recommended to strengthen the English club. It would be a great help in the teacher's absence, especially that the students are more comfortable with their co-students. The teachers loaded with their subject, which is hard for them to have remediation. The club will help the poor readers develop their skills by teaching them to read, motivate them to read, and even have remedial classes with the English advisor in the absence in the teacher's absence. If the learners if the learners have good reading comprehension skill, they can write a well-structured and meaningful sentence, providing them a handsome amount of vocabulary, excellent grammar, and knowledge from different articles and literature to make them write, speak, and read in a sophisticated way. Also, we can say that English methods are effective, and our country will have an opportunity to make at the top of the global survey at the next reading literacy assessment. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Miss Mediatrix Macasil. Of course, it is very important to improve reading and writing skills of students and to give effective lectures to students. Of course, not in only English English lectures, in all of the lectures, mathematics, physics, social sciences, etc. Is there anybody who wants to ask any question to Ms. Macasil? Okay, I saw no one. So, thank you very much, Mr. Macasil.
Sir, I have one question.
Sorry, we have one question, Mr. Macasil. Who is talking now?
This
Mr.
is
Ratnesh Dwiveti?
Yes, this is Professor Dr. Ratnesh Dwiveti. Miss Mediatrix, actually, I want to congratulate you for such a wonderful observation and findings in your paper. What is the I know this is something which is beyond your research paper, but can you tell me, because Japan and India share many strong cultural relation in terms of religion, culture, and many things. Can you tell me what is the status of higher education in 3-4 lines? How you implement your methodology and findings in higher education?
Well, we can implement the the study in higher education through implementing the recommendation use, since I have also recommend the millennial words, which is very relevant to today. So it is
Okay,
since
okay.
we want to improve the higher education to their reading skills, since they are expected to have been fully developed from their lower education.
Thank you, thank you. And it's really nice to hear somebody who has recovered so quickly and so swiftly after the World War, and now they are one of the top and highly speeded developing countries in the world. Thank you.
Of course,
Thank you.
also we want to thank Professor Ratnesh Dwiveti and also Mrs. Mediatrix Macasil. I think there was an internet connection problem in Mr. Asad Ullah. Do you hear me now?
Thank you. Now I can hear you. I am sorry I had some internet problems. Can you all
Okay,
hear me?
I think inshallah there is no problem in Pakistan.
No, it's fine over here. Inshallah, it's very good weather and we are enjoying our life over here. Thank you.
Okay. Now time is yours, Professor Asatullah, and our time is limited with 10 minutes, please. Thank you
Thank you
very
very much.
much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me for this very prestigious occasion. And my presentation, as you can see on your screen, is the social exclusion in children. That is the context of health and well-being. And the social exclusion is the new concept that is introduced the world over. And the developing nations especially are working on this concept of social inclusion and exclusion. So my interest and my PhD was in social exclusion in children. And I followed the Bristol social exclusion matrix that was prepared by Bristol University in UK. The flow of my presentation is that I will start with the introduction, explain my methodology, results, conclusions, and recommendations. The social exclusion, in past the society considered that there are some special people who lead the society and who can achieve the societal goals. But later on, it was found that every society has its set goal that are achieved effectively only after the productive involvement of all the members of the society. There are not few people that can that should be working for development, but all society should work for the development and achievement of societal goals. In some instances, some improper functioning of social institution may alienate a person or a group from the collective societal goal, and that may risk the disruption of the society into groups. In past, it was believed that the poverty is the sole reason for alienation of the people from the mainstream society. But in the recent time, it was added that there are additional some dynamic factors, not only the poverty, but some additional dynamic factors that were also responsible and that explain the alienation of members from the mainstream societies. These included, for example, the opportunity to work, live secure and healthy life, and to have a secure and private life. And this broadened concept of poverty and disadvantage was had its own complication, and it can be better understood in the concept of social exclusion. So there are two major aspects of social exclusion. One is the inability of a person or a group to participate into the mainstream society, and the second is the societal response to the people to expel him. These are the external and internal reasons. Atkinson presented that the indicators of social inclusion and exclusion that include the rise of financial poverty, income inequality, low education, regional disparities. And because of these main factors, there are some subsidiary factors that come up that include favorability of some basic needs, disadvantages, housing condition, poor health, that is like life expectancy and self-perceived health status, infrequent contacts with friends and relatives, dissatisfaction with work or more activities. Now, the social exclusion is different during different stages of life. That's why life course study is very important in studying exclusion, because we cannot reflect the results of social exclusion of old people on young people and of young people on children. That's why we have to study it during the course of life. So social exclusion is linked to life course, therefore studied separately in different age groups. So studying social exclusion in children is of special importance. Initially, because children belong to the group ignored in most surveys. Most of the surveys don't focus on children, especially those children that live in authority or residential care. They are disabled, and they are homeless or representing minority ethnic minorities. So they are ignored in most of the surveys. Secondly, the children, due to their young age and economic dependence, gender, are exposed to multiple deprivation, indecent and substandard living environment. The needs of these children are not properly addressed inside their families or by others. And their basic services are not properly delivered to them. Higher level of deprivation in children is indicated in statistical record of newborn. Their mortality and their health status are very obvious, especially in developing countries like Pakistan and subcontinent. In addition, most of the research studies and surveys on children are based on the proxy information. This is another reason to study children. Most of the studies are based on the proxy information, not on the first-hand information. And this study was specifically focusing the first-hand information, directly getting information from children through interviewing them. The material and method, the conceptual framework of this study is based on one independent variable, that is the set of health and well-being, and the dependent variable social exclusion. And I have introduced four controls. The gender, the religious affiliation, the subjective poverty, and the family type. For the current study, I have a sample size of 500 children that was aged between 12 and 18 years that were studying inside the school or they were outside the school. They were interviewed for the purpose. Measurement of social exclusion was based on 9 parameters, 9 indicators. These are given the parameters like non-participation in social activities out of fear of failure, feeling disruptive, disrespect from other, feeling representation from low caste, poverty, deprivation, child labor, poor aspiration for future life, left out by people due to unwanted personality. The responses were obtained on a dichotomous scale, and a child was considered socially excluded if he responded positively on 5 or more attributes that were related to social exclusion. The other study variables are also the gender and the family type and the religious denomination. Similarly, the state of health. These were measured. The health status was measured on attitudinal statement pulled from the literature and vetted by the board of experts. The variable of health status included several indicators, and if a person was not satisfied with the 5 or more indicators on this scale, was considered having poor state of health. The data collected on these scales were indexed for their reliability analysis using Cronbach alpha test, and the data was analyzed at bivariate and multivariate level using chi-square test statistics to determine the association of the variables. Wherever the condition of chi-square were not followed, then Fisher exact test was applied. There are several limitations of the study, and one of the limitation was that participation of female respondents, girls, was quite low, and the probable reason was the cultural, that the female in our society are quite shy and they don't participate in such surveys. So the number of girls was quite low in this study, and this was the main limitation of this study. And you can see the association between the health and well-being status with social exclusion. And you find out that almost all these variables are having highly significant and positive association of, means the poor state of health and well-being was positively contributing towards social exclusion in children. These parameters include parent taking proper care of their health, vaccination of the chronic diseases applied to the children, dental health, victim of obesity, and remaining ill for long time are significantly and positively associated with social exclusion in children. Similarly, disease or sufferings of mental illness inside the family is also positively and significantly associated with the social exclusion of children. Suffering from physical ability within the family members, similarly qualified availability of qualified doctors, and the access to quality medicine, and having feeling of good health, visiting hospitals in minor diseases, and non-satisfaction from health facilities are all positively and significantly associated with social exclusion. If we index both the health and well-being and social exclusion, we get the result that overall the state of health and well-being was positively and significantly excluded with associated with the social exclusion. Mean if the state of health and well-being is unsatisfactory, there is more likelihood of social exclusion in children. So the social exclusion is positive in relation with the poor state of health and well-being. The second objective of our research study was, if we introduce the controls in this variable, what variations come in this. And for this we get these results, that if we introduce gender as a control, and you can see that the state of social exclusion, is significantly and positively associated for male, and it is significantly and positively associated for female. But when you see at the TABI value for male, the TABI value is quite low than that of female. Means the female are more likely to be socially excluded at a higher rate than the male. That's why the effect of social exclusion due to poor health and well-being is worst for female than male. If we introduce the religious denomination as a control, we will see that the association of social exclusion due to poor state of health and well-being is significant and positive for Muslim students, for Muslim children. However, this was non-significant for non-Muslim children. Means the Muslim are more likely to be excluded due to the poor state of health and well-being than non-Muslim, and the probable reason was that there were several organizations that were working for non-Muslim minority children, and they are in better state of health than the Muslim children. If we introduce the family type as a control variable, you will see that the nuclear family is significantly and positively associated with the social exclusion, while that for joint and single parent family, this association was non-significant. Mean the nuclear family was the worst victim of the social exclusion due to poor state of health and well-being. And similarly, if we include the sufficiency of income as a control variable, you see that the insufficient family income was more likely to be socially excluded as compared to the sufficiency of family income. On these results, we conclude that the poverty was the instrumental in causing health-related problems, both long and short-term, as an outcome of poor access to medical facilities. The division of respondents on the basis of gender, religion, family type, and income, while indexing both independent and dependent variable, indicated the social exclusion in children was positive with state of health and well-being in the respondents. Second conclusion was that the study validated, strongly supported the theory and upkeep the domain of state of health and well-being as outlined by Bristol social exclusion matrix model, as was devised, and it was decisive in determining and explaining social exclusion in children. Moreover, it was established by this study that these domains varied in their response. These were additional inputs from my study, that these domains varied in their exclusionary effect wherever religious denomination was introduced as a control. Therefore, it is concluded that deprivation among children due to state of health and well-being had determining in influencing social exclusion among children. The extents of influence of these domains in social exclusion, however, unequal in their effects, especially with respect to religious denomination. Strengthening the health-based intervention, these were some of our key recommendation, that health-based intervention to prevent disease, secure proper immunization of children, ensuring their access to quality medicine and qualified doctors, and provision of medical aid in case of prolonged illness and disabilities, beside development of a community and family level sense of timely consultation with doctor and proper treatment of disease, are the major recommendation in light of the study. It could be ensured through the adoption of a sound strategy designed by the concerned department, while ensuring the participation of local communities in determining the needs and requirements. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor. I think we understand the importance of our health after pandemic process, and governments, I think everybody agreed that governments should improve their health policies. And is there anybody who wants to ask a question to Mr. Professor Asad Ullah? Okay, is there anybody? I think there is nobody. Thank you very much, Mr. Asad Ullah, Professor. Now time is Dr. Abdul Shakoor. I see him. Okay, Mr. Abdul Shakoor, are you there?
Yes, sir, I am. Thank you very much.
Mr. Asad Ullah, can you stop your sharing? Can you stop your sharing, Mr. Asad Ullah? Okay. Mr. Shakoor, now time is yours. Thank you very much again for your participation. And also I want to add, we are sending our participation certificates in our WhatsApp group. This is for our participants who present their results in our Congress. And thank you very much, Mr. Abdul Shakoor. Time is yours. Please, we have 10 minutes to each presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum, and hello to everyone, to all the panelists, to participants, and a thank you to the entire Congress committee, especially to Professor Dr. DİLEK for giving me an opportunity. Let me share with you my screen so that we quickly go through our presentation. So, can you listen to me?
Yes, yes, we are hearing you, Mr. Abdul Shakoor.
Okay. Okay, thank you. So, the title of my research is The Nature of Federation, and Just to tell you that I'm an assistant professor at the Department of IR at Abdul University, Mardan, and there are two other colleagues with me in this research. One is Dr. Ahmad Ali, he's from the Department of Sociology in the same university, and the other is Mr. Jawad Ullah, he's lecturer with us at the Department of IR. So the nature of federation and its effects on development in Pakistan, it's the title of our research. If I can quickly go through my abstract, that is, states having cultural and ethnic diversity opt for federalism. And this is understandable, as results have shown that states which celebrate diversity are more stable and developed as compared to those which do not. And therefore, provincial autonomy is the key to a successful federation. Since the distribution and allocation of resources mainly depends on this mechanism within the federation, therefore it is directly related to development. Mostly relying on secondary data, this study is qualitative analysis of the federal structure of Pakistan and its relationship with development across the federating units of the country. Results show that Pakistan's story of federalism in this regard has not been successful, unfortunately. In the constitutional and political history of the country, there has been a continuous struggle in which the centralists always have had an upper hand. And this has benefited the larger provinces, the most populous provinces, at the expense of the smaller ones. As a result, therefore, development across the federation is uneven. Human Development Index HDI reports show there is considerable variation in development across the federating units. Over the years, this has generated a sense of deprivation and alienation among the smaller units of the federation. Therefore, reforms in the federal structure, especially empowering the upper house as against the lower house, the National Assembly, are recommended for uniform development across the provinces. So introduction, a few points. Pakistan is a multi-ethnic country with nationalities having diverse cultural and historical traditions. The political system is federal parliamentary, therefore, in nature. And the lower house, that is called the National Assembly, is popularly elected, while the Senate, the upper house, is composed of equal representatives from all the provinces, the four provinces. This is laid down, of course, in the Constitution of the Islamic Republic of Pakistan of 1973. But in practice, however, the tendency is clearly centralist. I mean, the Constitution of the 1973 says that it's autonomy for the provinces, but in practice, however, the tendency is centralist, and this has given considerable leverage to the larger provinces. Then it was important, therefore, to analyze not only nature and structure of the federal system, but also to survey indicators of development across the federating units. And therefore, again, it is important to explain this situation. Is over the years, there has been a growing sense of deprivation, as I said, and alienation among the smaller units of the federation. So this is very important to analyze this situation. Material and methods. This is a qualitative study, and it mainly relies on secondary data analysis, including books, journals, and government and the UN reports. The data regarding the structure of the federation is taken from the Constitution of the 1973, that is the current constitution of the country, and also from the official websites of the houses of the parliament, and also there is reliance on other secondary sources, including journal articles and conference papers. But facts and figures related to this, to HDI and other indicators, for example, poverty and inequality, they are mainly taken from different UN and Pakistan government reports published from time to time, and therefore, based on these reports, there has been a comparison of development across the federating units in this study. So the discussion Using United Nations Development Program, UNDP, Human Development Index, of course, HDI take three measures for analysis. The first is your life, long and healthy life. The second is access to education, and the third measure is actually living standards. So UNDP Human Development Index reports and other indicators which are not included in the HDI, for example, poverty and inequality. The study found that there is a connection between the federal structure and development in the country. For this, we need to study the structure and function of the parliament. First is the National Assembly. This is the most powerful body of the parliament. It is popularly elected, and it's a house of 342. Unfortunately, it is, for this study, it is dominated by a single province. In this, the province of Punjab alone has 183 seats, followed by Sindh, 61, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, 42, Balochistan 17, and the newly merged districts of former federally administered tribal areas 12, and the Federal Capital Territory 2 seats in this house. But what is more important is the power and functions of this house, because it is popularly elected, so it is the more powerful. Now let's see what are the powers. There are 3 important ones that I affect. One is money bill will always originate in this house. It's a prerogative of this, or discretion of this house, that money bill, including the budget, originate in this house. And secondly, the prime minister or the chief executive is a member of the National Assembly, and a member of the Senate cannot become a prime minister. Then there is a very important committee called the Public Accounts Committee, or the Audit Committee. It is formed in the National Assembly in this house, and it is answerable to the National Assembly as well. Now the Senate, the upper house, this house has 104 seats, and all the provinces have equal representation in this house. Each province has 23 members. Pata, the newly merged districts, it has 3, and the Federal Capital Territory, Islamabad, has 2 seats in this house. But this is, a powerless house as compared to the National Assembly. Although the federating units are, equally represented, but its powers, let's see its powers. First, to promote harmony, and harmony is in inverted commas. This is my addition to this, and national cohesion. And secondly, the second power of the Senate is, it has no say in the money bill as it originates in the National Assembly. It can only suggest changes. Now the indicators of development, because we'll be doing this. So let's discuss the development across the federation is measured through HDI, as I have said, and other criteria left out by the HDI, they are inequality and poverty. So there is very important, the 2018 National Human Development Index report is released by the UNDP. It shows that Punjab is the most highly developed province of the country. And overall, the report categorizes Pakistan at a medium level of human development. So Punjab was allotted the highest HDI points for Pakistan, that is 0.732. And Balochistan the least, that is 0.42. So Punjab has also the second measure. Punjab has the most immunized population, that is 89%, as according to the report. Then 6 most developed districts are also in Punjab, the province that has 183 seats in the National Assembly. With regard to education, average schooling years in Punjab stand at 10.1, whereas in Balochistan it is 7.4. Also, Balochistan has the lowest level of living standards at 33.9%. Punjab, Sindh, and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa have 83%, 67.6%, and 67.1% respectively. Then there is another indicator, poverty. And there is a report, the multidimensional poverty report of the UNDP for the year 2015 shows Balochistan is the poorest, whereas Punjab is the least poor province or the most prosperous province. It's a report of 2015. And there is this graph which shows Punjab is 48.4% of poverty, while Sindh 53 and Balochistan 55, the most or the least developed province. There is inequality as well. For example, there is very important mechanism, the National Finance Commission or the NFC. It's a mechanism for resource distribution among the center and the provinces. According to the 9th NFC award, the share of the provinces from the federal division pool is as follows. So let's see. Punjab has 51.7% of the share because of its population, and also because and for this reason it has also I mean, the seats at the National Assembly are 183 for Punjab alone in a house of 342. Then Sindh follows with 24.5. Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, which its former name was NWP, is 14, and Balochistan 9% in the NFC. That is the mechanism which actually distributes the federal divisible pool. So it sees, you can see, because it is done mainly on the population basis, proportion to the population. Therefore, Punjab alone has more than 50% of the share. Then in terms of the natural resources inequality, if you include natural resources, natural gas production and use, Balochistan, the least developed province, produces almost 45% of the national production. And Punjab, the most prosperous province, produces 4%. But this province consumes more than 45% of the natural gas. So this is another indicator of inequality dictated by the structure. Let's come to the conclusion then. Because money bill originates in the National Assembly, the most powerful body of the parliament, and it is popularly elected. So in a federation where there are smaller and larger provinces, this house has naturally is to be hijacked by a single province. So therefore, major decisions are taken in the National Assembly actually most likely will then represent the aspiration of the larger province is, at the cost of the smaller province. So the federal structure has a clear centralist tendency, which has led to uneven development across the federating units. And secondly, the most powerful body, the lower house of the parliament, is popularly elected and hence dominated by the largest province at the cost of the smaller federating units, as I have said. Since bills are passed by a majority vote, the smaller provinces cannot have their voices heard. And then Senate has equal representation of all the provinces, but it has practically no powers, the upper house. Now, what are the recommendations then? It is very important. First, reforms in the federal structure are needed. And for that, we can, the Senate needs to be empowered as against the National Assembly. The upper house, where there is equal representation for all the provinces, needs to be empowered. Secondly, there should be reforms in the National Finance Commission, the resource distribution mechanism or formula. And third, or a decentralization, which provinces need to have first right to the natural resources they produce. Next. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Abdul Shakoor, for your well-designed presentation. Of course, federal system has both advantages and disadvantages. It can work efficiently in one country, while it cannot work in other country. And also economic growth is important, but I think development is more important than economic growth. And therefore human development index, you use human development index in your research. So human development index is a very effective way of measuring development. Thank you very much for your presentation. Is there any question to Mr. Abdul Shakoor? Is there any question? Sometimes I see questions in chat box, but now there is no one. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Abdul Shakoor.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you.
Okay, can you stop sharing your PowerPoint?
Yes, I will.
Okay, thank you. Now, Professor Ratnesh Dwiveti. Professor Ratnesh Dwiveti, are you here? Ratnesh Dwiveti. Professor Ratnesh, do you hear me?
Yes,
Professor?
I can hear. I can hear.
Okay,
Yes.
welcome, sir. And now time is yours, Professor. Okay, thank you very much again. Our time is limited with 10 minutes. Thank you very much again.
One minute. I will take only 1 minute.
Okay.
Yes, I am here. So I am sharing. May I share my screen?
We can see you, Professor.
Yes, I'm just sharing on sharing my screen.
There is a share screen button over. Okay.
Share screen. Yes, I can see it. I'm just searching it. Yes, now I can share. Yes. Can you see my screen, sir? My PPT?
Yes, we see you, and also we see your PowerPoint, Professor.
Okay.
It's okay.
Okay, thank you, Professor Sarkhan. It's really an honor that in such a prestigious and big conference, I have been invited to present my findings of my research paper. Had it been a physical conference, I think it would have been the biggest conference on social sciences and humanities organized by you. So again, all my delegates, researchers, scholars, everyone who have joined the conference through virtual online mode. I, Professor Dr. Ratnesh Dwiveti, who is Vice Chancellor of Learnforth University, one of the youngest Vice Chancellor from India. The university is based out of London and Nigeria. I'm also professor and director with Yasbad University, Zambia, and professor and CEO South Asia Fidronwall Military Training School based in Lima, Peru. It's an honor to present my research paper before all of you esteemed guests. The title of my research paper is the title of my research paper, while I am advocating about equal rights for children, I think I will take. In this world where we see a lot of inequality, gender biasness, racial biasness, we have seen examples from all over the world how the gender biasness, racial biasness, religious biasness is existing and harming the world. We have seen how America burned, how other places there has been violent attacks on civilized people, and that is a result of inequality between two societies. But children are also lesser gifted from God and who must be given equal rights. And equal rights are fundamental for all children. And that is title of my research paper, Children and the World. Equal rights are fundamental for all children across geographies, religion, color, and sex. That is actually title of my paper. And while researching on my research, these findings and surveys and research papers, I have strongly advocated not only on one platform but multiple platforms that children children are entitled to the same human rights and fundamental freedom as all individuals. But like other, particularly vulnerable groups such as women and indigenous people, children have been given special status and protection within the United Nations framework and in regional human rights treaties. These treaties create positive obligations of state to ensure the protection of children. Violations of children's human rights by state actors are considered particularly grave. So here in my study, while advocating for equal right for children, I have taken case studies from various codes across the globe and United Nations Charter, how it advocates equal right for children and humanitarian rights for children. I have given verdicts from court cases, how they have supported children in their verdicts from top courts to lower courts, everywhere. I have figured out the judgments as a case studies to support my study, and that is how I have reached on a conclusion. The research methodology which I have adopted is basically a qualitative analysis, and it is based on content analysis. That means I have avoided empirical studies or quantitative analysis. Rather, I have focused on qualitative analysis. And the time which I have taken for my study, not to complete the study, but the time frame from where I have picked up cases is between year 2000 and 2012. The literature review, the journals, books, and judgments of various courts which I have studied are UN Charter, UNICEF portal, court cases and their verdicts, books and journals, and these following instrumental judgment, landmark judgment, and decisions especially have addressed and helped me to reach out on a conclusion. Number one, from where I have taken my studies, African Charter on Human Rights and Welfare of Child, American Convention on Human Rights, Article number 19, American Declaration of the Rights and Duties of Man, Article number 7, Arab Charter on Human Rights, Article number 10, 17, 33, and 34, Cairo Declaration on Human Rights in Islam, Article number 7, Convention on Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, Article number 10 and 16. Convention on the Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide, Article number 11C. These all are United Nations Charter and decision of various courts. Convention on the Protection of the Rights of Migrant Workers and Members of the Families, Article number 29, 30, and 45. Thereafter, part of my study have been Convention on the Rights of Children and Protocol to the Convention of the Rights of the Child on the Sale of Children, Child Prostitution and Child Pornography, and the Optional Protocol to the Convention of the Right of the Child and the Involvement of Children in Armed Conflict. Declaration on the Elimination of all forms of intolerance and of discrimination based on religion, caste, and belief system or faith. European Social Charter, International Convent on Civil and Political Rights, Article number 10, 14, and 24. International Covenant on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights, Article number 10, 12, and 13. International Labour Organization Convention concerning indigenous and tribal people in independent countries, Article number 28. So that is how there are many more which I have taken in my study. These have helped me to form my opinion. The special protection afforded, and that is how I have concluded that the special protection afforded to a child will depend on which treaties have been ratified by the state actor and whether the victim or advocate is engaging with the United Nations system or a regional human rights system. Here, Professor Serkan and other dignitaries, I want to point out that one thing is very important, that in most democracies or where there is no existence of democracy and religious belief system has overshadowed the democracy. The fundamentalism has penetrated the society. There, no other country can intervene to protect the children and women. There only one organization which can intervene and protect the children and women is the United Nations. So United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child is the most comprehensive treaty on the rights of the child and defines children. Article 1, it has clearly said every human being below the age of 18 years, unless under the law applicable to the child, majority is attained earlier. So here I must say, as my previous speaker was saying, that there is a huge difference what Pakistani government say and what is adopted in the society due to the various layers of power in the system. Similar kind of system is actually harming the rights of children and women. How their rights are actually getting harmed. Number one is sexual exploitation. The second, the optional protocol to the Convention on the Rights of the Child on the sale of children, child prostitution, and child pornography requires state to ensure that certain acts against children are criminalized and obligates state to prosecute or extradite offenders within their jurisdiction. No culprit should be left. They should be behind bar who is involved in sexual exploitation of children. The second point where children get exploited is child labor. Child labor issues are most comprehensively addressed by International Labour Organization conventions. International Labour Organization Minimum Age Convention stipulates that the minimum age for employment is generally 15 years. Although developing countries may initially specify a minimum age of 14 years, no children below 14 or 15 years should be thrown away for a forced labor or indentured labors. So this is how United Nations intervene where children are exploited. The third point is children in armed conflict and applicability of international law. Recruitment of children. Please note my point. Many countries are doing this, and I do not have any objection in stating mostly fundamental countries are doing this, and there has been report as a part of my study in Islamist country, recruitment of children for armed forces violates international humanitarian law under the Geneva Convention, which are designed to limit the effects of armed conflict and also contain specific provisions regarding states' obligation to protect and care for children in situation of armed conflict. While the CRC forbids recruitment of children below 15 years for any kind of armed forces, whether they are official government armed forces or they are retaliators, terrorists, any, this is something which is very serious crime. We are seeing it. We are watching it on television, how children are thrown in these kind of wars. Article 1777 is there to protect them. It says Protocol I to the Geneva Convention of 1949 provides protection against recruitment of children between 15 and 17 years of age for any kind of international or domestic conflict. And further it adds, the first optional protocol to the Convention of the Rights of the Children and the Involvement of Children in Armed Conflict raises the minimum age of individuals taking part in armed conflict to 18 and includes a unique provision regulating the acts of non-state actors, stipulating that non-state forces should not recruit persons under 18 years. There has been certain examples, my friends, where governments get away very easily by saying that this particular children has been recruited by non-state actors. But where non-state actors live, they live in your geography. They work in your geography. They have their training camps in your geography. So you are responsible for that. And then comes juvenile justice. Although the age of criminal responsibility varies widely among countries, international human rights law has made it clear that the best interest of child and paramount, even in the context of children in conflict with the law. General Comment 10 to the CRC further outlines special considerations applicable to juvenile within a state's justice system. Further, for example, children must be granted criminal procedure taking into account their age and comprehension of their situation, and children who are convicted of criminal offenses must be separated from adults, and their interests as children must be taken into account in setting their conditions and detentions. Under no circumstances should individuals be sentenced to the death penalty or to juvenile life without parole for offense they committed as children. So this is very important to note, that children and juveniles have been given certain protection even if they commit some crime. Within the universal system, now comes to enforcement. Within the universal system, states' compliance with their obligations related to children's rights may be monitored through the Universal Periodic Review. Special procedures and treaty bodies, specifically Committee on the Rights of the Child reviews state reports are the important and their implementation of the CRC and its two optional protocols, and has the competence to hear individual complaints beginning in April 2014. Next point, protecting children's lives and physical integrity. That is very important. The Inter-American Court has emphasized the violation of child's human rights, including their rights to life, freedom from torture, and other cruel, degrading, or unusual treatment are particularly grave, including in times of armed conflict. That means even if there is a condition of war between two countries, children must be treated as with dignity. You can see International Court Justice HR Mabiprians massacre versus Colombia, but its repatriation and cost. Judgment of 15 September 2005, series number 134. The European Court of Human Rights has reached similar conclusion. You can see Okali versus Turkey, number 52067/99, ECHR 2006, judgment of 17th October 2006, ECTHR Stosia versus Romania number 42722/02, ECHR 2008, judgment of 4. So that is how I have taken court judgment in account. In Victor Hugo Michael versus Paraguay, report number 85/09, August 6, 2009, the Inter-American Commission determined that the Paraguay state violated Victor Hugo Michael's right to special protection by recruiting him for military service as a 15-year-old against the will of his father and the mother. His family pursued their claim after he died in service. It was a huge humanitarian disaster for Paraguay government, and that was a very well-known case reported by media. In Molina Thiessen versus Guatemala, judgment of May 4, 2004, number 106/2004, the Inter-American Court of Human Rights found that Guatemala had violated its international obligation in connection with the forced disappearance of a child victim by members of the Guatemala army. So it has also come in notice that children are abducted for armed conflict purposes for various non-state actors, terrorist organization, and even government army. So that is how they are protected. One case of recruitment of child soldiers has also been prosecuted as a war crime, including by the Special Court of Sierra Leone. We can see prosecutor versus Norman, SCSL 2004-14 AR-72E, 31st May 2004, prosecutor versus Cisse, Kaloun and Gabo, case number SCSL 0415T, 2nd March 2009. There are several other points which I want to discuss, like child labor. In response to a complaint alleging systematic and widespread violation in Myanmar, which is now called Burma, earlier called Burma, near India, the International Labour Organization issued a report of the Commission on Forced Labour in Myanmar, confirming that forced labor was utilized across Myanmar for public purposes, including military activities and for private benefit. It further found that men, women, and children, it particularly members of minority ethnic and religious groups, were all victims of forced labor and of physical and sexual abuse. They were referring to most known community which has been headline in various newspapers, Rohingya community, and it is happening since ages. Criminal law and juvenile justice. The Human Rights Committee has determined that children who commit criminal offenses under the age of 18 and those whose age cannot be confirmed as over 18 may be sentenced to the death penalty. Johnson versus Jamaica 5921994 ICCPR article number 54/40 volume 2 20th October 1998. Barrow versus the Philippines, the Inter-American Commission reached a similar conclusion in one case between Merake Patterson versus United States, report number 2505. Why I am reading these large judgments of court? Because other day somebody does not say that these are which are as one of my colleagues said earlier, proxy data. These are the real data. These are taken from court orders of various courts after long study. These are taken from UN charters. So these are real, authentic figures. So how terrorist organizations and certain countries are doing, they should not do it, which is forcing children for armed conflict and taking them for many other inhuman activities. Family life in the immigration context. One final point. I'm just closing my research paper in Vinata versus Australia 930 2000 ICCPR Article 5640 Volume 26 July 2001. Committee held that in extraordinary circumstances, the state party must demonstrate factors justifying the removal of persons within its jurisdiction that go beyond a simple enforcement of its immigration law in order to avoid a characterization or arbitrariness. States have significant but not unlimited discretion to enforce their immigration policies and to require departure of unlawful present person. Why I am saying so? Because from countries like Syria, Turkey, there has been lot of immigration to European countries, and they have been tortured. Forcefully, they have been expelled. There is a process for that under United Nations. That is all I meant to say. What is the conclusion finally? Children or women have equal dignified rights to live a free life, equipped with food, education, health, job, security, and secure future. Those who mar their path must be booked and jailed. These two basic conclusions are derived from various court judgments, UN Charter, and various other studies. So that is all I wanted to say. Thank you once again, Professor Sarkan and other dignitaries. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you very much, Professor. Of course, children rights are very important issue nowadays. Is there anybody who wants to ask a question to Professor Ratnesh Dwiveti? I think there is no question. Professor, can you stop sharing your PowerPoint?
Right.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Ratnesh Dwiveti. We are very glad to see you, glad to meet you. We hope that we will be together in our next congresses. Thank you very much.
Thank you
now,
for having me.
Okay. And now the time is for Miss Ruyida Mushtaq from Kashmir, from Pakistan, I think, or
No, sir, I'm here.
okay. Mrs. Ruyida.
I am from Jammu and Kashmir, India.
India, okay.
Jammu and Kashmir.
Mrs. Ruyida, now time is yours. Please.
Just one thing, sir. You said Kashmir, Pakistan. Kashmir is never part of Pakistan. It's part of India. Jammu and Kashmir is part of India.
Sorry. Okay. Now, Mrs. Ruyida, you have 10 minutes.
Yes, sir.
Now,
Yes, sir.
thank you very much. Okay, you can start, please.
Sir, wait.
Dear Professor, can I say something since she's preparing, I think, her slides? It is Dr. Shakoor.
Pero ano, gusto namin.
Mr. Ruyida?
Yes, sir, sir, I'm sharing. Sir, wait just a moment.
Okay.
Sir, here I can't able to Microsoft OneDrive.
Mr. Ruyida, can you open your voice? Mr. Ruyida, can you open your voice?
Sir, here I can't able to share the screen. I am not here understanding where I have to share the screen.
You have share screen at the bottom. Green button. Green button. Between participants and reactions. Do you
Sir,
see?
participants? Yes, sir.
Participants and reactions. It is between them. Mrs. Ruyida, it is not needed to share your PowerPoint. You can talk and by this way, you can present your research.
Yes, sir, sure. I will present my result in a verbal manner. Sure, sir.
Yes, yes, that's correct. You can present this is Professor Ratnesh Dwiveti. You can present your research paper in verbal manner. No need to share the PowerPoint.
Sir, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Respected organizers and other dignitaries, a very warm greetings to all of you. It's a great pleasure and honor for me to speak the topic about a comprehensive study of disease pattern of Gurez Valley in Kashmir in Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. I am from Department of Geography and Regional Development, University of Kashmir. So, as we firstly, the introduction of the topic where the Gurez is, where the place of Gurez is located. Gurez is a fertile valley located in the high Himalayas in Bandipora district of North Kashmir in Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, India, about 8,000 feet above sea level, surrounded by snow-capped mountains, and is a gateway to the famous Slick Route across Central Asia. The pyramid-shaped mountain peak named after famous Kashmir poetess Haba Khatun is most fascinating peak in Gurez. Kishanganga River flow through the valley. In mountainous region of Gurez, there are various constraints which degrades quality of life, such as unhygienic housing conditions, poor transportation, poor housing, lack of efficient ventilation and infrastructural facilities, harsh weather conditions. As a consequence of these factors, health problems are most rampant in the Gurez Valley. In this paper, I examined the morbidity pattern of health and the recommended ways for proper elimination of all health hazards in the study area. As we know, the interaction between man and his environment or health is to a considerable extent determined by the environmental quality. As a consequence, environment and health are closely related. In mountainous region, like Himalayas, Andes, they suffer from goiter and cretinism because of glaciation, melting snow, and heavy rainfall regularly leach fragile mountain soils of their iodine content. At the same time, in many mountainous regions, vitamin A deficiency is a leading cause of preventable blindness in children, while raising the risk of disease and death from severe infections. According to FAO report 2015, high level of malnutrition and hunger in mountain areas have much to do with inaccessibility, complexity, fragility of mountain environments, and extent to which mountain people are often marginalized. Mountain people face immense physical barriers, ruggedity, and poor communication in inadequate routes. Akhtar found that respiratory diseases are more common in mountainous areas. As I will give the firstly general introduction, which I already explained above, Gurez is located on the banks of the river Kishanganga, where the coldest and dangerous peak Razdan Pass, located above 4,000 meters to reach the valley, which not only connects the region with the rest of the Kashmir, but divides the two on geographical, socio-cultural, and linguistic lines. As far as my methodology is concerned, in order to accomplish my objective, which I have to examine the morbidity pattern of the Gurez in the Kashmir Valley, where I have to undergo primary as well as secondary data. Primary data, I have to collect it from the households, where I have to use purposive sampling, which include information-rich cases for detailed analysis. As far as my analysis is concerned, I have selected 355 households. I have selected as participants. For undergoing the research, I have used qualitative and quantitative data. Quantitative data, I was analyzed by descriptive analysis and quantitative data, and qualitative data was analyzed by using thematic interpretation and narration. So far as as far as my empirical observation is concerned, as far as my descriptive research is concerned, which we can say qualitative research, where I have to where I have to observe the diseases in the Gurez Valley, respiratory and pulmonary disease. What is a spatial cause? I mean to say spatial means which relates in terms with space. Unhygienic conditions, harsh cold weather conditions in winter, lack of efficient ventilation and infrastructural facility, poor quality housing. Second one is joint disease, rheumatism, arthritis, high intensity of cold during winter, gastrointestinal problems, polluted water because of chemical disturbance around the Kishanganga project sites, intestinal ailments, poor hygienic living, skin infections, infective water source, goiter and cretinism, glaciation, melting snow, heavy snowfall, regularly leach fragile mountain soils of their iodine content. As far as my survey is concerned, which I have to undergo the household survey of the villages in Gurez, where I have taken different variables. As I already explained, I have surveyed 355 households, where majority of households are kacha houses, where poor ventilation, I mean to say inefficient ventilation, less than 6 into 5 feet, and water, where the majority of the source we find that from river, where people have not the infrastructural facilities. So as far as my results and discussions is concerned, where I mainly found the respiratory diseases are more common in Gurez region, in many villages of the Gurez, where Purana Tulel, the Atara, Balshefpura, Mastan, Badshat villages, which are considered as a very, very marginalized in terms of the infrastructural facilities, in terms of the inaccessibility, as far as inaccessibility, where lack of the ventilation and can also facilitate spread of the diseases, which led to the allergies, fatigue, nausea, dry eyes, nasal congestion, headaches, where people have small kitchen room with no ventilation or window for circulation of air. As I already explained, Kishanganga project site in village of the Gurez, where chemical disturbance is found, due to which water gets contaminated, which causes health problems such as skin diseases, stomach problems, infectious diseases. In village Bandugam of Gurez Valley, the total cow dung used per day in kgs is 64 kgs, and Dangithal, where total firewood used per day in kgs is 1360, where people burn cow dung cakes and firewood, which could be absorbed by respiratory tract and cause indoor air pollution and aggravates health problems. So far as in nutshell, we can say in Gurez region, in mountainous region of the Gurez, where main problem, we find a transportation problem, which causes health hazards, which causes severe health hazards, because there are not efficient transportation available. Roads are not fully developed. As I already explained, poor housing, I mean to say very marginalized district in North Kashmir of Bandipora. As I give the in a nutshell, respiratory related diseases are more prevalent in mountainous region of Gurez due to harsh climate, poor housing, and lack of efficient ventilation. The people living in Gurez do not have any proper medical facility is main cause of the poor health. Most of population of Gurez are unhygienic because of absence of not proper water supply, due to which a number of infectious diseases occur. It's clear now from the study of health of the people residing in Gurez is poor. Government should take proper steps to provide better roads, and access to main town should be facilitated for medical treatment in times of emergency. Government should take steps, make efficient planning of houses for efficient ventilation. Non-conventional source of energy should be used for eco-friendly and pollution-free atmosphere. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Ruyida. And this is our last presentation in our session. I want to ask if there is any question to Ms. Ruyida. Is there any question? So this session is completed. Thank you for all participants. Now we are sharing our participant certificates in our WhatsApp group. Also, you know my WhatsApp number. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask me. Thank you very much. And of course, we will go on with other sessions today, tomorrow, and the next day. Thank you very much again.
Thank you very much, sir.